Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the first episode of the Trash Taste podcast.
Hell yeah.
The official first episode.
The official first episode. We finally made it.
From there, Trash Taste rapidly growing in these 3 years more than any other podcast I personally know. At this point, probably most people who care for anime or Japan recognize these boys, which this guy totally didn't expect.
You started the Trash Taste podcast.
Right away, it was getting like a million views.
Yeah.
And it was just weird because it was like, what's special about this? It was like, oh, it's just 3 dudes who like anime, who just talk about weird shit.
It's really amazing and inspiring to see that. Basically just chatting random weird shit as they normally do with friends, and still get so many passionate audience and fans. Having said that, maybe the success isn't so surprised when you think about it, because these men are some of the most influential and successful YouTubers that all fucking weebs admire and dream of. Putting the all-stars together, it's kinda impossible not to be popular, especially given the fact that anime is getting more and more recognized in the West, maybe more than in Japan. But the funny part is that they don't fucking know why they got so successful.
What is the secret to our success? We get asked this question, and every single time, the three of us look at each other and go, well, we don't fucking know.
Though I'm not so super into anime, I personally love their podcast and find it great, because I love the British accent, and that's why I love the Gordon Ramsay too. Anyway, despite the name is Trash Taste, which sounds trashy content, I don't find anything trashy. Actually, many of the critique on anime or Japan is quite interesting to listen even as a Japanese person. And I really like that they seem so genuine and honest, while having such funny and relaxing vibes. I think that kind of atmosphere is only possible with genuine friendship.
Biggest reason to the success is, surprise, surprise, our genuine friendship.
Anyway, I personally find Trash Taste great. I mean, who doesn't love it? Well, maybe not for Japanese people. Now you may wonder, but how could Japanese people even know Trash Taste in the first place? This is English-speaking podcast, but if you got so popular and famous like Trash Taste, it's likely the Japanese media start to report it just like this article. And eventually someone starts to translate it so that more Japanese people watch it and talk about it. Basically the same as Taylor Swift is recognized in Japan just like anywhere else. So it's not surprised at this point, quite many Japanese people recognize Trash Taste. But like I said, the Japanese response is not so great as far as I can see, which is quite opposite to this foreigner Christopher Bros. As I previously talked about it, he's really appreciated and loved in Japan by everyone, but that doesn't apply to these boys.
Why?
Yeah, that's really weird, isn't it? How could anyone on this planet not like Trash Taste? So today, let me share some of the reasons I hear from Japanese people why Trash Taste is not so loved in Japan as much as Christopher Bros. First of all, the timing they started was perfect because
Japan wasn't in as strict of a lockdown, so we basically had zero competition because most other big established podcasts had to go to Zoom calls, something that was remote.
Having said that, at that time in Japan, people were so sensitive about it, and I've seen many Japanese YouTubers getting so much hate or cancel culture just because they were not wearing masks or following the distancing rule or stuff like that. So as you can guess, this was quite shocking to see for many Japanese during the pandemic, not even distancing or wearing mask in a small room. Maybe they already noticed it, but as always, they just keep the who gives a shit mentality.
I don't care what other people think. You wouldn't. If I cared, then I would be wearing masks all the time. I'd be wearing a mask right now.
And I think that type of attitude irritates Japanese people even more. Actually, someone commenting that in Japanese. こういう外人がいるから日本コロナ終わんねんだよな。俺たちのこと全然気にしないで社会を壊していくよ。Which I do think is overreacting, because these guys have been close friends and probably chatting with each other in a daily basis already. So it's kind of pointless to wear a mask when friends talking like this, isn't it?
We're not like that kind of group of anti-maskers.
No.
Take that freedom muzzle off your face, son!
And to be fair, they were surely wearing a mask when it's necessary. They definitely care about other people in Japan, at least in my eyes. But like I said, many people in Japan were quite sensitive during the pandemic to see anyone not wearing a mask. And this was so unfortunate, but some Japanese people making assumption or even spreading a rumor like that, which is really unfair and sad.
Like, a lot of people don't want to wear
wear it, but then no one wants to be the first one to take it off.
Yeah, and then when they
So-
see someone that's not wearing it, they're like, wow, what a fucking delinquent.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's just like, oh, of course it's the foreigners not wearing the mask. Of course.
Foreign residents are scapegoated for bad things. Certainly during COVID, it's been a more difficult year than I can ever remember. Like there was a ramen shop early on last year that just banned foreigners outright from coming in.
Though Japan wasn't so aggressive when it comes to the regulation or enforcement, I was constantly feeling the strong peer pressure, which was really powerful enough to make everyone wear a mask. Actually, until recently, I kinda had to wear a mask every time I interview or meet anyone new in Japan. Because like I said, some people in Japan might get offended by that. And seems like that happened to trash taste. And that's why some Japanese people don't like them. So that's number one. And number two, do you guys remember that there was a quite big trend 2 or 3 years ago?
There is this giant trend of Japanese react videos on YouTube. There are just so many videos of Japanese react to blank.
I don't know why, but at that time, YouTube was feeding us a lot of reaction ones. And since that, more and more Japanese YouTubers jumped on the bandwagon.
Reaction video, oh my god, what is going on?
Which I personally didn't though, and I don't have any issue with the trending. But some people criticize, isn't it such a lazy way to get easy views? Using someone's footage entirely and just keep nodding. And they feel sorry for the original creator, because
Felt a bit weird about it. I spent maybe 7 days producing the original video. It took a few days to research and script and plan. A reaction video, you can literally sit down, watch something for 10 or 15 minutes, edit it in about an hour, because they're not that complex, and that's it. And you can get millions of views. And so, yeah, it can be a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow.
and see the trend. These boys, of course, not silent and complain about it.
There's this new like thing on YouTube where like things that shouldn't be a qualification that are a qualification like reacts to something. I've noticed, and these things will not stop leaving my recommended. Where it's like Japanese person reacts to every Chris Abroad video, and I'm like, I don't care.
The recent one I saw that would not leave my recommended is Japanese person reacts to Bill Wirtz's history of Japan.
I was like, I don't. You want like this should not be a qualification. I just think it's really like weird and like unnecessary.
I kinda get what they say. I mean, I don't find their complaint so unreasonable, but some Japanese YouTubers are pissed off. I'm not gonna mention their names, but trust me, they really don't like these boys even to this day. And I get that, because to be fair, it's not just Japanese YouTubers doing that. And maybe creating reaction content was kinda their only option during the pandemic. Having said that, I think the biggest problem about these guys is not really what they say, but the way they criticize it sounds kinda insincere or unserious. And I think that makes Japanese people upset.
The amount of videos I've seen that is Japanese person react to Filthy Frank is like way too many.
Oh,
to go,
yeah.
this should not be necessary. Like, it's just a Japanese dude.
It's like,
And
also, it's like, who cares?
I think there's nothing wrong to criticize or complain about something if you're reasonable and you genuinely care about it. But the way they do it maybe not seem like it to many Japanese people.
You know, especially when we're in Japan, so much respect and courtesy in the culture.
Actually, some people commenting that こいつらマジで偉そうだし見下してる気がするよな。なんか日本や俺たちをバカにしてるみたいでやだわ。ただ文句ばっか言ってそれを笑ってディスってる感じだよな。So unfortunately, that's gonna be a type of reaction you're gonna get when you have a British guy in a podcast and talk about Japan.
we are British and we complain about everything.
We complain about everywhere we live.
But to be fair, the name is Trash Taste. So what do you expect, right? This is basically just friends casually chatting for fun. So maybe Japanese people shouldn't take it seriously in the first place. And I'm sure any of the guys really doesn't mean to be disrespectful or bashing anyone actually.
No, actually.
Yeah, I know that. You're just trying to be honest, right?
If you guys are gonna move to Japan, I want to be honest with you and tell you what's gonna be fun and what's gonna suck.
Yeah, there's gonna be lots of fucking great things about it, but just be prepared for those little inconveniences.
So their intentions are actually great, helping other people coming to Japan. But I think to many Japanese people, it's not so clear if they're just joking or serious. Because that type of irony or humor wouldn't be appreciated in Japan.
English is easy to make jokes in.
Why?
Because we have irony.
Japan does not have irony?
No.
What?
There is sarcasm,
sarcasm.
but it's not a common way to express comedy.
Anyway, number 3. They often talk about social issue in Japan, like the birth rates declining or the gender gap is quite big or stuff like that. And many Japanese people say that's not accurate. Anyway, let me share some of the examples they have issue with.
Having tattoos in Japan are like indicative of the Yakuza, right?
Oh, they're such a bad person because they put some fucking ink in in their body that, you know, it's this weird stipulation of tattoo equals Yakuza now. The one I don't understand is when that same rule applies to foreigners here.
So many Japanese argue that we only stigmatize Japanese ones, not foreign ones, which may be actually true, by the way. When I interview people with tattoos, many of them told me that Japanese with tattoos get way more discrimination and stigma. But to be fair, I don't think he's entirely incorrect, because these rules usually apply to foreigners too.
In Japan, if it's not physical harm that is a result of the crime, then it's not even considered. Like, they don't take into consideration that, you know, you can be mentally scarred. It's pretty fucking traumatizing for some young women to get, you know, creeped on, getting their photos taken, most likely being leaked on the internet without them knowing. And then for the fucking law system to turn around and go, yeah, you'll get over it.
Which many Japanese say is completely false. As long as you got medical certificate and prove it, it's actually gonna be recognized as a crime. So I saw some angry Japanese comments saying he's totally wrong and stupid.
The only countries on earth that has widespread adoption of female-only cars. You know, for it to be done and have to be done says a lot. Me personally, I wouldn't want to raise a daughter in Japan.
Many Japanese say that it's actually not just Japan having women-only cars. So why do they make it sound like only Japan has the program? Anyway, those are some of the examples, but whether what they talk about is actually right or wrong, it usually gets a lot of views, and I see many Japanese worry about the influence. For example, someone commenting that 悪口ばっかり言って俺たちをバカのように見せてるよな。ああいう暴言で世界の人は俺たちが悪くてバカだと思うんだろうな。
Can we talk about how slow Japanese businesses work?
Yeah. Japan has one of the lowest productivities. Everything in society has been made to be long-winded, bloated, and slow.
It was ridiculous.
It's frustrating, man.
Completely unnecessary.
It's just frustrating.
It's just
It's
painful.
disgusting. Yeah, it's
It's
I just complain about everything. Bloody hell, that took a fucking long time, didn't it? Jesus Christ.
And I saw some Japanese criticize that at least these two men don't seem to have much experience or interaction with Japanese enough to criticize it, but still complain a lot about us. And someone saying that こいつら最悪なクレーマーだな。日本のこと文句ばっか言ってこれが仕事なの ?3 人のうちの2人は数年前引っ越してきたんだって。あいつら日本人と働いた経験も交流した経験もない。日本の社会に適応しようともしない。なのに知ったようなふりして文句ばっか。こいつら有名人として日本にいるだけで上から目線で文句ばっか。I guess the point of those comments trying to make would be like, why not actually be on the culture and experience it first?
People are sad here. It is clear that the working environments in Japan are brutal.
How do you know that? Have you actually talked to them? Have you actually experienced it? You see, he doesn't seem to actually participate in the society yet. And that may be the biggest difference from Christopher. As you know, he does speak Japanese well and actually interacted with many Japanese. And his criticism is based on that, so it's convincing. But this cringy white dude maybe not. As some people point out, he's not even trying to follow a custom.
Apparently you're not supposed to eat and walk here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I do that. I'm told I'm not supposed to do this, but fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Nam mentions that he doesn't speak Japanese or not even trying to improve it. He doesn't have Japanese friends and probably not having much actual interaction with Japanese people like Christopher, but still fucking complains a lot.
Probably not a good idea to not speak Japanese living in Japan, right?
Unfortunately, I definitely fall into that stereotype of foreigner moves to a country and only really makes friends with other foreign people. I know it's not the best thing on the world, but hey, it's what ended up happening, and it's just easier, it's comfort.
Okay, in all seriousness, I do love this white dude, and I do know that he tries to assimilate and respect our culture and people. If you watch any of his content, you can clearly tell that at least he's making effort, and I don't find anything implied or disrespectful. But watching trash taste only, probably any Japanese people can't see that. And regarding speaking Japanese, I don't think 2 or 3 years would be enough, because even if you live in Japan and surrounded by Japanese, it might be quite difficult to have interaction or opportunity to speak Japanese, because
I think people have misconception of how much we interact with Japanese people.
Yeah, this is basically a society that has optimized getting
Not
the
talking to
least,
people.
getting the least amount of human interaction
Right.
possible. You go to a restaurant, you have a tablet, and you order your stuff. You know, so most of the time you don't even need to talk to anyone. You know what I mean?
Anyway, these are some of the reasons I hear from Japanese people why they don't like trash taste. But despite of everything everything I said. Some Japanese people, including myself, really like the podcast and find it great. What I personally really like about it is that they're doing a charity work like this, which I find remarkable.
I really want to do another big charity event. I feel that every big creator should do charity events at some point.
So all the bashing toward him aside, I really fucking love this guy, and he's actually my biggest reason why I still listen to their podcast.
I just love making people happy and laugh. I love spreading that feeling to other people.
Anyway, I want to hear from you. What do you like or dislike about them? Let me know that in the comment below and let's talk about it.
So I think that's a good place to end it. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for tuning in to Trash Taste Podcast.
Bye.